brought to you by Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics.
You know, these cars, they call them showroom stock for a reason. Very few modifications that can be done, safety equipment added and things like that. And you can run a car that's up to 10 years old, but if it's anywhere between 7 and 10, you carry a weight penalty. 4 different national champions driving in this class right now. 40 cars. Hold on. It's going to be exciting. Move back from the fence.
Everybody away from the fences, absolutely. The field a little ragged behind the first 4 or 5 rows, but we are going to be watching for the green.
That's it. Let's see if did they get one? Yeah, they did. I think the flagger said, you know what? Ragged, I don't really care about under these conditions. Down into turn 4. Hold on.
That's Kramer, the white Saturn on the inside. 33, Fernandez, the neon. That could be a great line, and Kramer drifted across and made sure Fernandez was not being able to do anything about it. And the rest of the pack just trying to survive madness.
It looks like the 405 out in L.A. I mean, look at this. I don't think anybody's on a cell phone, though.
That's 32 a quarter. You can see how far back he is.
Well, you know, you get down there in turn 4 and 5 at the start. You want to stay off these concrete patches in the wet, and the outside line is great at the start, but as you go into the next corner, that's where the problem comes because you're on that concrete patch. Sandy?
Right now, it's going to be a dicey first few laps. The first 3 qualifiers here are on dry Hoosiers. In 4th, wet, a wet setup. So we've got a mix of tire setups here, and they do believe that the track being dry right now may be drying in spots. It could change the order of the finishers, or at least the racers here in the first few laps.
Oh, look at this! Real swirly by Kramer. And by the way, hurricane or tropical storm Isabel has kind of affected our broadcast a little bit. We've lost the camera right here in the carousel section because of the wind that is associated with the rain, which has actually let up just a little bit. Great battle for 3rd behind Fernandez. It's Long, and then the number 12 of T.C. Klein as they're battling through here. Klein on board the Honda Civic, and Long is also driving one of those. And by the way, T.C. Klein 2 wins this year to get him qualified for this event.
And what a gutsy move to go with a dry setup. You saw Kramer with the huge slide into the carousel, and it's his National Pirates Day, so I'm sure he was going all the way in there. Fernandez running off the concrete through the keyhole and onto the back straightaway. And I think I saw some action. Yep, there it is.
Oh, boy, there it is, the number 27 involved in it. That is John Phillips. And couldn't quite, I think that's the number 5 of Ken Payson, who was also ranked very highly. 3 wins in the Northeastern Division this year, 2nd in the category. There's the bright neon number 32 of Porter trying to work his way through the pack. And behind him, look at this. I mean, just an intense battle unfolding right behind Porter at this stage. And that's the battle for 22nd.
Oh, man, there are battles everywhere. I mean, just watch, and there's a battle. It's really difficult down here in this 4-5. Contact there. Oh, you get in there, and you got these concrete patches. Once again, they're very slick in the wet. You got the line in one corner, and you're where you don't want to be for the next, and it's going to make it very, very difficult. Look at this. Up the inside. That's the 79 car sideways.
Yep, number 19, Jeremy Lucas, trying to sneak underneath it, as you said, put him right on that concrete patch at the wrong time. And that's the thing. Mid-Ohio is so busy and twisty. You're looking good here, and suddenly you're just skating sideways in this spot. There's the number 70 right there of Sam Ryan, and he's been trying everything he can to just find a clear piece of track.
It is a busy enough racetrack in the dry, and you add the wet conditions and 40 cars, and it gets very, very busy in a hurry. He was actually lucky down there as he slid out to the outside. He had a car on the outside that actually kept him from going around, I think. As you look at Kramer coming back across the line, on a dry setup, I am very, very impressed with this guy and this drive. These first 3 cars doing very well on dry setup.
Battle for 4th right here. That's 12, T.C. Klein, but that is Eric Van Cleef, who I was telling you about, running a Toyota Celica, and he's really been pretty much alone in developing this car. He's a longtime Toyota stalwart, but that car is, I think it's a bit heavier than some of the competition, and sometimes you hear that a little bit heavier car in the wet is a good thing.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you can transfer that load and get the tires to bite. As you look at Klein down on the concrete, watch him slide around. That's going to give the drive off of the corner to Van Cleef. Yeah, if you can take that weight and you can utilize it to put the load on the tires, that's going to give you the grip. It's just a matter of getting it there. Sandy?
Just 30 minutes before the race, Tim Klein's team, they were talking about, do they go with wets? Do they go with dries? Just before they came on the grid, they switched back to the wet tire setup. When he arrived at the false grid, he looked and saw the first 3 qualifiers had dry. He said, this is going to be an interesting few laps. I'm either going to lead the beginning of the race and fall back at the end, or maybe I can stay up front the whole time.
It's all going to depend on if we get a little bit more, because the problem is we got that heavy wind, but the rain's abated a little bit, and that dries the track out much faster.
Well, that dries it out, but I'll tell you what really dries it out, 40 cars.
Yeah.
As these cars drive around this racetrack, the more they go over it, the more the heat. We got a car off there over in the turn 9 area. Yeah. And once you see the one in the gravel, that creates a problem. They get in these gravel traps and they get stuck, and it takes a wrecker to get them out. It'll be interesting to see if that brings out a full course yellow. And if it does, we're going to start all over again.
The problem for T.C. Klein is raining, and defending national champ Joel Lipperini is coming after him. So it's going to be interesting when we come back to Mid-Ohio. That means they get there quick, but I'll tell you, Rene Marinus is coming along as a driver. He is in this very iffy conditions up into the 10th spot out of 40, so his credentials are coming along nicely.
No, absolutely. He's got a great coach. He's got a great team behind him. It's that same Tri-Point organization that puts the cars together for Shauna, and they do an excellent job. The car's very fast.
By the way, you'll notice that the cars seem to be a slight bit off pace. That's because we are under a full course caution here as we are 5 laps into this 20-lap national championship battle in Showroom Stock C. And you can see that we had a couple of cars off in the gravel, and that was precisely the reason we went yellow. But we are looking to head back to green as they head down this long back straight, led by Mike Kramer in that Saturn.
Man, look at the jump that he got.
Well, once again, the Saturn runs a little bit heavier than some of the other cars in this class, and with all that weight plus the front drive coming out of the keel, I wonder if he's just getting a little bit better bite.
T.C. Klein up the inside there, makes a great pass down into 4, and really passing down there should be pretty easy if the guy stays on the normal line, because once again, in the wet, the braking line is right down the middle of the racetrack. That's where the grip is.
All right, and as Mike Kramer continues to lead, Biz has found his crew chief.
Well, Tom Brandlander is the man who has that car running up front right now. He's actually talking to Mike on the radio. What's he saying to you?
We got it underneath the Honda bridge. We got about a 20-car length coming out of the second start here.
That's not a bad start for you. Listen,
Bad at all.
what was the decision like to use the dry tires? That had to be a heck of a decision.
I got a philosophy. Yeah, we switched tires probably 14 times this morning, but if it's not raining, it's dry.
There you go, guys. That's the philosophy they use down here, and it's working for them. They're in the lead.
Well, and again, with the wind, I think that is really a nice call. If it's not that a big field, as you pointed out, Brian, and wind, track's going to dry up in a hurry, and he's flogging it right now. Second is Long, then Fernandez. The guy who's gone missing is Lipperini. He's showing now back in 23rd, so right before the caution, he had an off. But the interesting story is the guy who's closing up and into the top 5 is Bill Haggerty with Wiley Timbrook behind him. Ooh, Long running a little wide out of 1, but saved it, and he's frankly closing it up.
Yeah, he's closing it up. You know, the Hondas have been strong all year long throughout the nation in SCCA competition, and that may be the car to have here. As Long looks like he's definitely coming up. Sandy?
I'm here now with Tom Long's father. Tom Long, same name, you threw for each other. I know when you showed up at the grid, the first 3 cars were with the Hoosiers, and then you had the Kumos. What were you thinking? You two were discussing it quite frantically almost there.
Well, it's a real big decision. The Kumo tires have been awesome for us whole year, and we're a Kumo team, and we just decided that the Victor Racer full depth was the absolutely right choice for this weather condition. Any wetter, we don't know. Any drier, we had the tire, and we had it on the intermediate, so it was an easy choice for us.
Now, you were just talking to him on the headset saying, calm, calm, steady.
It's a long race, and we started 5th. He's up to 2nd, and really doing great, and he usually keeps me calm, but I'm trying to help keep him calm a little bit.
Any strategy for the end of the race? Did you discuss it?
Yeah, we sure did. That's part of the calm. We're trying to keep the car and the tires stay nice and cool, and that way at the end of the race we give a big push and try to catch Mike Kramer.
Okay, that's Tom Long, who is crewing for his son, Tom.
And Sandy right behind him, our 3rd place car, John Fernandez, billowing a lot of smoke out the back of the car, and it was bluish in nature, which usually is not a good sign. That means that it's probably something related to oil.
Yeah, and that's kind of strange. You would think maybe it would be an oil leak, which is certainly not good if it's getting on the racetrack in these damp conditions, but you don't often see showroom stock engines go south. I mean, these cars are pretty much showroom prepared. They can do a little bit to make sure that the engine is optimized, but you really can't do a lot of work on the engine itself. And so to see that blue smoke was somewhat strange. You know, we keep listening to...
It's gone now.
Yeah, very strange. It was when he was lifting off the throttle on the way in, so into the corner, so it's almost like it was a blow-by condition past the ring. So we need to keep an eye on that 33 car for more smoke. But you talk about the tires, you know, it's not like in a full production race class where they're running race slicks and you have a choice of either running on a slick.
Oh, that's Wiley Timbrook, and that was a pinwheel. That wasn't a spin, and a mirror's off, which would tell you that he had some help.
Yeah, there was contact there, a little rubbing is racing, I think, kind of thing going on. We got parts laying out in the middle of the racetrack.
Let's go back and see if we can pick it up, and look at that. He is missing the mirror. And here it is.
Oh, where did that come from?
That was the number 70.
Sam Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, Timbrook looked slow as he was to the left side of the road there. That was coming out of turn 1, so I don't know what put him over there.
Maybe he had already had a moment.
Perhaps, but Ryan was in the middle of the racetrack. Very strange contact.
Yeah, that's different, and obviously Timbrook's got some damage. You got to think Ryan might as well. Discussions going on in the pits. Up front, Mike Kramer leading this one from the get-go. The track, that is Showroom Stock C. And from the green, your pole sitter has led it. It's this gentleman, that beautiful Saturn of Mike Kramer. We're coming up on the halfway point, and as you can see, he's got now the better part of 3 seconds over the rest of the field. And Brian Till, I wanted to get back about the tire situation. You were talking about it. These cars, because they're showroom stock, actually run a stock tire that you can run on the street. We hear Tom Longstreet talking about intermediates. Is that just a different level of shake tread depth?
That's exactly right. As you look at this battle, as they're going to run down, look at the mirror out in the middle of the racetrack from the Timbrook incident that we saw earlier. As they come in here, it's a battle between manufacturers of cars, drivers, and also tires. It looks like the 73 car of Boyning is going to be able to hold that line. These race tires that they talk about on these cars are shaved to 3/32 or so of inch of tread depth. An intermediate has a little more tread, and then a full wet is just a fully treaded tire like you would buy at the store. Well, those treads, if you run them in the dry, they work back and forth like bending a coat hanger back and forth. It creates a lot of heat, and they wear out, and the cars don't handle well. So when we talk about intermediates and dries and wets, it's not like running a slick. They do have some tread, so the gamble to go with a, quote, full dry tire in damp conditions is not as much of a gamble as it would be if you were running race slicks.
This is the battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. 32 Porter, who we visited with up front, has only been able to get up into the 10th spot, and his problem is 07 Chad Gilsinger, who's going to run it down the inside here at the bottom of the S's in Madness, but once again, that puts him offline going into the next turn, turn 7. What? They are still side by side.
Man, great racing.
Yeah, heading into the jump, and Gilsinger slides by.
Great racing, man. If you want to go racing in showroom stock. Actually, I mean, any of the classes we've seen so far have had such great competition, and that is what the runoffs are about. For 40 years they've been doing this, and for 40 years you get to see this kind of competition. It is awesome.
Now, this is even a little bit further behind here. That's Ken Payson, the blue number 5, and the 82 of Strickland. Actually, Strickland's blue, sorry, Payson right there, but these guys are duking it out, and jumping in the middle of them comes Jeremy Lucas in the silver Honda. Now, the 12 and 43, that's Klein Taylor battling for 5th right now. Taylor's a little bit adrift. T.C. Klein just hanging in there right now, sitting in that 5th spot.
Yeah, Klein actually not doing as well as he would like to. Developing this car, he just started running it this year. He's a guy that has a lot of showroom stock type of experience, but oddly enough, I mean, he does not own an SCCA national championship. He's got all kinds of professional championships, but he's not been able to put it together here.
He's got medals. He's got a 2nd and 3rd.
Yep, but not a win, and that just shows you how tough this competition is. A guy like T.C. Klein running right now in 5th position.
Keep in mind, T.C., as Sandy told us earlier, is on a complete full wet deal. Full wet tires and the like. You talked about it. As it dries out and those big tread blocks start to move around a little bit, they build tremendous heat.
And look at the spray. We don't see much of it anymore. You just see a hint of it coming off the tires as they go down the straightaway. As you're looking at Fernandez, now that smoke is gone, and he looks like he's actually closed the gap a little bit back to Long.
You almost wonder if maybe a valve didn't just hang up for a minute or something, blow some smoke, and then cured itself, because he's really starting to heat the pressure on Long right now. And Kramer continues to run strongly up front. Well, we've been wondering what's up with 33. Maybe Biz has the answer.
Well, I'll tell you guys, what John's doing out there, he's just trying to take it easy, not make any mistakes in the semi-wet conditions. They are on dry tires. The crew chief is in radio communication with him. The crew chief keeps trying to calm him down, slow him down a little bit, because he wants to go racing. He says, just wait till it dries, wait till it dries. Just keep the leaders somewhat in view, but wait till it dries, and then you'll have your time. So let's see what he has. Well, how much patience does a race car driver have?
Well, also, John, how much can you afford? I mean, we're just past the halfway point. Kramer's gone by 4.5 seconds, and he just turned the fastest lap of the race, the only guy to run into the 1:56.5 second lap range. So Kramer is just getting faster and faster as this one unfolds as well. Those stopwatches are there, and they're telling a pretty interesting story right now.
This Sunday, only on Speed.
There are 3 drivers in today's race that are working on Honda R&D projects, those top secret projects of the future. Here in the present moment, they're teammates in this race. They're used to working together, but when push comes to shove, Lee Neffenegger, what are you going to do? Are you going to work together, or are you going to bump each other around?
Oh, we'll work together as much as we can in qualifying. We give each other as much room as we can on the track, more than maybe we give somebody else. But when it comes down to it, if there's an open chance, we're going to take it.
And Lee's proved that earlier in the season. That's why his name, Neffenegger, rhymes with Schwarzenegger. He's going to go for the win if he's got the chance.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he won't be back.
Yeah, not today.
Right there, just past pit out. He's dead stick right there. Problems for Lee. But one of the members of that program is the number 07 of Chad Gilsinger, and we just saw him put that great pass on Porter, and they have moved up into the top 10. And, Fernandez has made the move. He has slipped by, picked up second from Tom Long. And I think he may be saying, look, we don't have time to just sit and be too patient here, because he's opening it up big time. And Showroom Stock C, when you've got a guy that far out, almost 5 seconds now for Kramer, it is time to go after it. Here's how he got around him, though, Brian.
See, down the back straightaway. This is into the turn 4 area. He just passes him around the outside, which is really kind of where you want to be. You watch him stay off the slick concrete. No apex there, because that's where the grip is. And, you know, just before that pass, the lap before it, when he closed in on Long, he was almost 3/4 of a second faster. And actually, that last lap, he was 3/4 of a second faster than Long. So he does have the faster car. It will be interesting to see what he can pull out once he's by him.
Actually, that last lap, the fastest of the race by Fernandez. But I think Long made a great decision there. He saw him coming, and instead of fighting with him, which could have cost him another second in terms of the deficit to Kramer, he just let him go tucked in. And that's some pretty smart race driving right
Well,
there.
you know, they've got a long way to go, and as a race car driver, to let somebody go by you, it just goes against every instinct you have. But you're halfway through the race right now. He may have a better car. Oh, and you saw Fernandez get really loose over the top of 5 there. He may have a faster car, so maybe what you do, as Tom Long say, I think I'll let him buy me and watch him for a couple of places. I'm faster here, but he's eating my lunch over here. I'm going to let him go by, and if I can go as fast as he's going in those places where I'm slow right now, I'll put it all together and see if I can get by him later in the race. We're only about halfway through.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the problems for Joel Lipperini, who had moved up and was on the charge. Here he is at this stage, and he is well back in the order, outside of the top 14 and 15. And you can see a little bit of a tweak to that left front quarter panel.
Yeah, major damage up on the left front as you saw him go by there. The whole thing is folded in, and I'll tell you what, when you fold in a quarter panel like that and you see all that body damage to that car, you got to believe it got into the wheel too, and that probably bent some suspension and maybe did the alignment on the car. As you look at him come through, look at that area right there on the car. Really damaged and folded in. You can actually see the tire sticking out past the bodywork, which means the tire got the brunt of that impact too. I'm sure the alignment is off on the front end of that car.
And here is number 7, Bill Haggerty. Remember, he won on the track last year. Didn't quite make it through tech, but he has fought his way up now into the 4th spot and is running some pretty quick laps. It's a lonely 4th right now, and he just got to put his head down and hope.
Yeah, working in these conditions, and you pointed out earlier, too, these cars, you're only getting a couple of tenths a second a couple of tenths of a second per lap on the guy in front of you, so you've got to claw and fight your way up. You're not just going to charge up on somebody and drive by. So Haggerty doing a good job. He's moved up from his starting position. He's got a long way to go. Probably needs a full course yellow to help him get some of that distance back.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you can actually see a little bit of sunlight kind of breaking through, glinting off the back of our leader, Mike Kramer's Panasonic Saturn. Interesting thing is, Fernandez threw down that fast lap. Kramer responded. A 1 minute 54.4 second lap. The margin. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio, and it has been a very eventful race. Early on, Thomas Putt's bit of a problem, and it just went from there. Eric Van Cleef, the Toyota, who looked so good early, and then there it is, the story of what happened to our champ. He got involved in that and ran way wide through the gravel, got it gathered up, but it cost him a lot of time. And the number 10, Greg Meindl, off as well, and it's just these track conditions. And then that's what happened to Wiley that got him offline. We were wondering about that. Watch this, Brian.
Big contact.
He lost to the Roadrunner again.
Yeah, he did.
But Kramer is absolutely flying right now. That he just turned a 153.8, but Fernandez a 153.7, and the second place car now back with the fastest lap, but still 5 seconds behind Kramer.
5 seconds. You pick up a tenth of a second, maybe 2 tenths, even a half a second a lap. You don't have the time to cut that 5.5 second gap down to the leader. And maybe the best choice these guys made was going with a dry setup. We're seeing reflections off the car, actually dry patches on the pavement here down the front straightaway where we are. The track is drying out a lot, and that car is going to get better and better. As a matter of fact, they're only about 5 seconds off of a dry time right now, and in full wet conditions, you would expect to see 10 to 15 seconds slower than dry lap times.
Yeah, it's definitely, the track's coming back. There's no question of that, but the problem is that Saturn just seems to be able to just adjust to it beautifully, and you have to give a lot of credit to Kramer. I mean, he is keeping that car very unsideways, and that's the best thing you can do in these conditions, to keep the tires cooled up just a little bit. And here's a good battle here. There's number 12, T.C. Klein in 7th, and Tom Start, 06. Gilsinger, Richard Benning right in there as well. And keep in mind, right in front of them was Rene Marinas, who has had himself a very solid run up in the 6th.
Oh, yeah, he has done very well. He's moved up considerably from his starting position, and you got to wonder if they've given him a better car. And, you know, it's all about experience. As you look at Klein up the inside as they're going through madness back there in the back, trying to get up inside the 73 car.
That's Dick Boning working around the outside, and Klein just, well, he lost it. He lost it right there. He got swallowed up, and that's Porter.
Man, what great racing. And these are places on the racetrack where if you told me that passing was going on, I wouldn't believe it. But side by side, not only 2 cars, but 3 abreast through the areas back there in 9, 10, and 11. You just don't see a lot of passing going on back there.
Nope, and see right there now, that's 19 Jeremy Lucas. Every time we've gone back to a battle in the pack, Jeremy Lucas has been there. The good thing for him is we keep moving a little further forward in those battles, and he's still there.
And he's still there, that's right.
Really putting a drive together.
You got this freight train going on here.
And Fernandez, by the way, just up in the front, I just noticed the margin, a 152.6, but right here, look at this scrap. That's the 06 of Tom Start. In the black car, that is the battle for 6, and Rene Marinas right there. Well, I tell you, he's gone to school, and he is a quick study.
Absolutely. Look at all the mud on the front end of that Mazda.
And we are coming up now on the 3/4 complete. About 5 to go here. And there is a crew that's concerned about what's unfolding. Mike Kramer still leads it. We are back at Mid-Ohio, and the battling throughout the pack continues. SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs.
Excuse me, coming through. Pardon me.
That's Jack Lipperini, who's starting to try and barge his way back up into the pack. And we were looking at that bodywork damage, and I thought where it hit may have given him a bit of toe out, but boy, that makes that car turn in great into the left hand.
And here we go again, passing in areas where you just don't pass. 9, 10, and 11 complex.
He is tucked in behind Boning, and that is that Luke? Yeah, that's Lucas again and Porter. And Lipperini is snuck through. By Lucas.
He is pushing that car hard. He wants that position back. He will never make up for his trip to the beach down there off of turn 4, but he is trying as hard as he can.
Well, he is one spot shy now of a top 10. And, well, nope, he got it. That pass of Lucas has given him a top 10. So, considering where he was, 5 laps ago, this is a brilliant drive by our defending national champ.
And he's only a couple of seconds off the leader's times. And you say a couple of seconds, well, that's not very good, but he's doing it in traffic while he's passing places.
Oh, look at this right here. That is the 44 man that's coming after him. And they touched that 07 Gilsinger. Those two, it was a gentle touch.
Well, and Marinus kept him on the racetrack. We've seen this several times, but he got up inside of him. They got together, and I got to tell you, I don't think he would have been able to keep that car under control if Marinus hadn't been there to lean on the outside. But he does get the position. Marinus looks back to the inside as he gets down to turn 4, but that's just not going to happen. He's too far back. He did not get the run off of the keyhole.
And there is 32 Porter who's watching some just awesome racing. He just hasn't been able to get up there and join the fray. Gilsinger definitely is the man on the move. He has gone by and picked up that 7th spot from Marinus. And Lipperini is still there. And I'll tell you what, Lipperini's pressure is really forcing Boning to move a little bit closer to that battle in front. And but this is going to turn into, I think, in pretty short order, a very, very stiff battle for that 7th spot.
Oh, absolutely. You've seen Lipperini catch up, but I think that Boning is going to be a hard guy to pass as you see him come down into the carousel. Trying to make the move inside, looking to the inside. I don't think that's going to happen there, but he's trying to set him up. He'll see if he can get him down into turn 1. Lipperini, I think, is only going to be able to go so far. That car is damaged. He's not going to be able to turn the lap times of the leaders, but he is certainly trying hard.
This will be big if he can make it and make it stick down the inside. Marinus, no, well, it's not quite done yet. No, Marinus was able to pinch it off there and not allow. Oh, but that gave Lipperini the opportunity.
And this is great racing.
Awesome racing.
The last time through the 5, 6, 7 area was the first time we had ever seen him single file, and now 3 abreast as they come into the keyhole. Lipperini gets both of them.
What a sweet move.
I think Boning's going to get him back at the end of the back straightaway. This is great racing.
Well, Marinus right there. Porter, I said he wasn't able to drag himself up into this battle, but he has. He is right there. He now gets by Marinus, and he makes the pop move. He's gone. No.
The more these guys battle amongst themselves, the more the guys behind them are going to catch up. It's going to go from 3 or 4 to a 6 or 7 car train before long.
Yeah. Oh, and Haggerty, who was up knocking on the door of a medal, is in the pits. In the pits and frustrated, obviously.
We have an unhappy driver here. Bill Haggerty had to pull it into pits. That your hood was up. That sounded terrible.
Well, the engine, something has let go inside the engine, it sounds like. And it looks like the first 3 made the right tire choice. They're all on slicks, and I'm on intermediates. I would have been up there with them, I think, if I had slicks on.
A disappointing end to your runoff.
Thank you very much. We'll be back next year.
There's not a quitter there. He's going to be back next year, guys.
Oh, absolutely not. He wanted it so bad. Meanwhile, here we go. That is Boning and Porter, side by each. And the number 73 hangs on to it. But right now, Kramer up front. The margin still over 3 seconds. He's back with the fast lap at a 1:51.3. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Just a couple laps remaining, and Mike Kramer's quest for gold in Showroom Stock C here at the Valvoline Runoffs. He's up by a little over 3 seconds. Fernandez, number 33, behind, but Kramer has led from the pole, Brian. And I mean, literally, watching him, he hasn't put a wheel wrong, and that car's never been sideways, never been crossed up, and that means he's been gentle on those tires.
Yeah, we watched him on the very first lap when the track was very damp. The big slide into the carousel. The last time we saw the car slide at all, because the track has come to Michael Kramer. He's on that dry setup, and the car is just getting better and better, and we're watching the lap times get better by ½ second a lap, but it looks like Fernandez is closing the gap slightly.
And right now, you can see Fernandez is closing, but he's running out of time in a hurry.
Well, I'll tell you, the track is definitely drying out. You can see it from your camera angles, Brian, and you know the track as well as anybody. But what also this is affecting his braking distance into turn 2 here. You can see the drivers just pulling closer and closer and closer to the bridge going into turn 1. And the main thing is that right now we're about 14 seconds faster than the first 2 laps of the race. So we're dropping off, like you said, about a half a second a lap. There's going to be a lot of action in these closing rounds, guys.
And another guy who sort of snuck up and into this battle is the 43 of Pete Taylor. He's turned a 152.6, and he's now 4th. So Tom Long for that bronze medal, that is not necessarily absolutely rock solid at this point. But Fernandez, man, I tell you, he's gone so quick, it just has been far enough back. He hasn't been able to do with it. There is Porter, and Porter now finds himself in the 8th spot. Boning is 9th, and Lucas, there he is again, up in the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. He wants airtime. Every time we cover a battle, he seems to be slipping up on it. You look at Boning trying to close the gap there up to Porter.
Well, Ralph Porter, I mean, he's been fighting outside of the top 10 for most of this race, and when he finally was able to get into 10th, he quickly went to 8th, and I think he may have a car that maybe is, maybe a little more dry setup on it, because his car is getting faster and faster and faster. And you can see him just drawing away right now.
Well, you can't race under any more difficult conditions than this. It's almost easier to race in full rain when it's wet and the rain is coming down, because the track has literally been different every single lap. It has changed on these guys. So they've done a tremendous job of the performance that they put in. As you look at Marinus coming through.
There's our camera-hungry Lucas, then Marinus, who was so strong for a while, and Marinus now has dropped back into 10th, and you wonder if maybe Rene, that experience, maybe he didn't drive the tires off that car a little bit too much early on. Right behind them right now is the 82 of Strickland.
And I'm not sure that we know what type of setup he had on. If he started on a wet setup, that car is going to go backwards, whereas the track will come to Michael Kramer. If Marinus started on a wet setup, the track is going to be going away from him, and maybe that's what we're seeing here, Greg.
On the final lap, and Kramer has, well, actually, Fernandez just turned a 150.82 to Kramer's 152.85, but 300ths of a second isn't going to do it. Strickland still trying to find a way by Marinus here. Not going to do it.
Yep, not going to do it this time, that's for certain.
They're coming up to take the signal for 1 lap to go. Leader's already there.
To watch this battle run down towards turn 1. Be interesting to see if Strickland can get it on this last lap. This is his last opportunity, and really probably the best shot that he's got is to be patient, try to get right on his tail as they get to the keyhole and draft by him as they go down the long back straightaway into turn 4.
Well, he's making the move here.
Yeah, be patient, be patient. Don't do it here. Set him up. Get the drive off the keyhole and see if you can get it done at the best passing area, which is turn 4 down at the end of the long back straightaway. Like we said, he's tucked up right underneath him. We'll see if this car can draft off the Mazda in front of him. As you get a good look of Kramer coming around through the carousel for the last time, and he sees what he wants to see. A checkered flag. National champion Michael Kramer.
And look at the crew. Boy, they've been waiting for this one. They have been working on this Saturn for a long, long time. When he first came out, great straight line speed. Wasn't the best handling car, and they have worked on it, and it has come around. A great job. Here's your battle. Back for 11th right now, Marinus and Strickland.
And Strickland, Strickland was not able to get him down at the end of the back straightaway. And from now on, it's very, very difficult to pass back in this area of the racetrack from the end of the back straightaway from turn 4 around to turn 13 on the front straightaway. Very, very difficult to pass, and so it's going to be tough for Strickland to get that position from Marinus.
They're saying it's a bit difficult.
Yeah, I say that it's a bit difficult, except for the fact that we were watching cars 3 abreast through there earlier.
Exactly. And this is it. This is the last shot, and this is where we saw contre-temps in some other races here on the last lap, but not going to happen here as Marinus drives a real clean line through there. Strickland not able to get close enough. And Rene Marinus, in his first national championship, ran as high as 7th and ends up finishing in 11th.
Yeah, he cannot be upset by his performance here. He's done a great job. He's got a lot to learn.
Absolutely. So it has come to this, the Showroom Stock C National Championship decided, and Mike Kramer hustles his Saturn around and picks up the win. We'll come back and visit with him in just a minute. 5 Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics. Welcome back, everybody. The race is done. Here is a quick look at the top 5, and Mike Kramer went flag to flag. 1 caution didn't affect him, and he is with Sandy Hang.
Right now, his crew chief and good friend, Tom Brandlater, puts that medal on him, and Mike Kramer takes a hug from the crew. Years and years coming here to Mid-Ohio, and Tom said they brought this car, and it was perfect coming off the trailer. Mike, I know, best finish 4th. Now, when you hit the podium, you win it, a national championship.
Isn't it something? It's just absolutely crazy. I think the weather played right in for us today. We went out on some slick tires. I think some of the guys chose intermediates. We went out on the slick Kumos, and the track came back to us, and that's really all it was. It was just a great effort. The car's been prepared great by all my friends, and man, I can't believe it. We're here, you guys. We are here.
What, euphoria of the moment. Did you have any last-minute doubts when you saw the setups on the grid, thinking, oh, did I make the wrong decision?
You know, we've run in the rain a lot in the southeast, and you know, it gets warm and the water goes away, and if you're not on slicks, you're going to the back. So that was the deal for us.
There's Mike Kramer, your new national champion. Let's go down to Bizignano. Hey, Biz.
Well, I'll tell you, someone who's almost as happy as the winner, of course, is our car number 33. John, I got to ask you, an awful lot of strategy going on out there. They're trying to hold you back, trying to slow you down until the track came to you.
Well, you know, we all went out on dries pretty much, and so we had to be real tentative in the first part of the race. And Mike was a little bit better in the wet, and so he got away from me a little bit. Once it started to dry, we could stay with him, and I could close a little bit, but not enough to, you know, to get where I could really race with him.
Did you get it? Let him get just too far ahead?
Yeah, he just got too far ahead early in the race when it was wet. My car wasn't quite as good as his in the wet. When it dried out, I think we had equal cars, but by then I was, you know, a couple seconds behind.
Well, I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than having to be in a position where you have to have patience like that.
Absolutely.
Tom Long, let me ask you, okay, 3rd place, some people went by you. What could you do about it?
Couldn't do much. I mean, you know, I had the rain tires on. John and the Saturn were on the dries, so, you know, I did all I could just to stay and hold my 3rd place, so I'm real happy with that.
Now, that Saturn normally has good straight line speed, you know. Now, that was an advantage for sure down the long straightaways, but the wets just weren't working at all?
No, I mean, once it dried up and the sun came out, you know, they started going away, but at the beginning I thought I had a chance. You know, if it had maybe rained a little during the race, I might have had a chance to win it, but I can't complain with 3rd. I'm real happy for that.
Your crew was doing the rain dance out there. I'll tell you, it was pretty ugly.
Yeah, I mean, they were shouting for me, so, but I also like to thank G3, Kumo Tires, Carbotech Engineering, Ben Schaefer at GTR Motorsports, and my family for all their help and support. I couldn't have done it without them.
Congratulations on a great 3rd place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Brian, one of the things about this podium is some great parity amongst manufacturers.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen it get better and better as we've gone all year. 3 different car manufacturers on the podium, 2 different tire manufacturers, and obviously the driving ability in this class, it's awesome.
Stellar. And we're going to show you the full field rundown in just a minute, but pay attention to 4th. Joel Liparini came back off track, national champion. Now you know why. And remember, he was 4th at the end of the race last year and ended up getting the gold via tech. So you never know. And one thing I wanted to point out for John Fernandez, he maybe didn't get the gold, but he got the fast lap by over half a second on the last lap of the race. So he was hunting.
Well, another guy who finished 14th was William Hughes. He was as fast as the leaders at the end. So the driver talent and the depth of the field is great.
You notice Eric Van Cleef back there in 36. Wiley Timbrook, of course, a little bit further back. Some very quick drivers running afoul of conditions, traffic, and the like, and it caught them out. No such problems for Mike Kramer. He had it and let it flag to flag, and you could hear the emotion when he was getting the gold. Absolutely wonderful. Remember, folks, check out speedtv.com for in-depth online information on all things motorsports. For my partner in the booth, Brian Till, and for a wet but drying, John Bizignano and Sandy Hang down in the pits, I'm Greg Kramer. Thanks for joining us here in Mid-Ohio. Take care, everybody. It's been great to be with you right here on Speed.